got your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope everyone is getting off to a good start on your weekend. Had a good Friday night. Welcome everybody in chat. Welcome Trace on the case. Ronnie's in here. Dizzy, good to see you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Salty. How's your day going so far?
It is going. I got up early, went back to sleep. Just got up again. So, yeah, I don't know yet. So far, so good.
Good deal. Good deal. Firefly's in here. Welcome in, Firefly. Zero. Treva, is that how you say your name is Treva? Because I knew a Treva in Indiana, and that's how he pronounced it. But I don't know if that's how I should be pronouncing your name. Renee's in here.
Mm.
Oh, good morning, everyone. We have some things to go over today. 3 hot topics for me. But first, I have to do my sports update. My Boilermakers, my beloved Boilermakers, lost last night in the Sweet 16. Didn't make it to the Elite 8. It was a really crazy ending to the game, and I'm going to actually play video from it. I'm probably going to get a copyright strike or a non-monetization notice for it. But it's from Bleacher Report, and it's not from the NCAA or one of the whatever news station or whatever TV station was broadcasting it. So Bleacher Report can do it, then by golly, I can do it too. But yeah, they played Houston in the Elite 8 or in the Sweet 16 last night in Indianapolis. So it was kind of a home game. But it was a really, really close game. Purdue tied it up at the last few seconds, and then Houston had an inbounds play and scored a bucket to win by 2 at the end. And breaking Boilermakers' hearts everywhere. So Purdue is in black here. Houston is in white. You can see Purdue is down by 3. So we're going to play about 3 minutes of it. I'm going to comment. Miles Colvin out here, I've talked about him before. He comes off the bench and provides pretty good defense. Camden Heidi over here, he also comes off the bench, provides good defense. He is also a good 3-point shooter. And then these guys are starters: Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman-Wren, and Braden Smith. He's an All-American. Trey Kaufman-Wren probably should be. He'll probably be a second-team All-American. Here we go. Last 3 minutes. It's actually 2 minutes on the game clock, but we all know the game clock does not equal real time. Hold on, I need an audio check. Salty, how does my audio sound? Not on the video I'm playing, but my microphone. How does my microphone sound?
You sound fine to me.
Okay, just making sure, because I had to rearrange my office, relocate it temporarily for 1 day before I relocated again for the Lori Vallow Daybell trial. So I rearranged it and I moved the microphone. So I was kind of worried about that.
Uzan, tough shot, tipped up. Francis, right throw, Kaufman-Renn. And one thing, Andrew, Houston's got 2 fouls to give. I'm not saying they should just give it, but if a guy goes by him, they need to foul him so they don't get beat. They can be aggressive in this spot, no doubt about it. Heidi fakes the 3, now steps back. Heidi won't go, and the rebound to Roberts. And now Cryer will slow.
That's a good shot right there. Camden Heidi is a good 3-point shooter, and he can come in off the bench and knock them down. So that was a good shot. That was a good look. Nothing wrong with that. He just didn't hit it.
Slowly bring the ball up the floor. Houston has lost in the Sweet 16 each of the last 2 years. Trying to get to the Elite 8 and a date with Tennessee on Sunday. Cryer through the defense. Kaufman-Renn got a piece of it. Yeah, I'm not crazy about holding the ball in that situation and only taking 5 seconds to get a shot. Well, you know where they're going.
So Houston is a really, really good defensive team. Like, they're maybe the #1 defensive team in the country. They have this trapping defense that they run. And I'm sure Matt Painter has been working all week on how to deal with this trapping defense. But Calvin Sampson is Houston's coach. He was on the other sideline. You'll see him again here in a second. He used to coach at IU. There was a little bit of a scandal there at IU, had to do with cell phone calls to recruits or something. So he resigned from IU, but he is a really good coach, Calvin Sampson is. But so is Matt Painter. But 60-57 is a low scoring game.
Slight foul. And a foul is called. Renn, right next to Kaufman-Renn. They could be aggressive. They still have a foul. Lawyer able to get it over to Kaufman-Renn. Colvin extra pass. Smith a 3. And the long rebound to Kaufman-Renn. They don't have to take a 3, but they got to get something good. Shot clock at 10. Everyone watching Braden Smith of Purdue. Where will he go with 5 to shoot? Smith with Roberts on him. Smith to the corner. Heidi a 3. It's good! We are tied!
Now there's going to be some controversy here at the end. There's going to be a couple of no calls, and then there's going to be an out of bounds play. And we'll talk about it when we get there in a second.
Timeout, Houston. Because it's a 4-second differential. This building has seen Gordon Hayward, Jalen Suggs, or we're about to see another tremendous finish at Lucas Oil Stadium. Yeah, he wants to start going when there's like 6 on the shot clock. Uzan with 5 to shoot.
It's right here when he gets close to the baseline. Watch his left elbow, his left arm, the guy that's handling the basketball right now. Braden Smith takes a dive, and I don't know if it's a flop or if it's a push-off, but this official over here is in pretty good position to see it for himself.
Uzan, Smith to the ground. Uzan.
I saw that left arm extended. I saw it extended. That's usually an indicator for an offensive foul. We're going to watch it one more time. Then we'll continue on to the end of the game. There's only 7 seconds left in the game and just like a minute exactly left in the video.
Uzan, Smith to the ground. Uzan, turnaround, not there. The tip, no. And it goes out of bounds to Houston. Playing for a spot in the Elite 8.
Now, watch right here. See, Braden Smith is defending the guy that is passing the ball in out of bounds. Watch Braden Smith's eyes and where he ends up in poor position.
Uzan gets it in, gets it back, and he puts it in! What a play! And now the officials will stop the clock. Stepped in. Watch how he steps in quickly. That is a tremendous out-of-bounds play by Kelvin Sampson. You talked about the special situation.
Braden Smith left his man. Should not have done that. Whoops. So, anyway, that's it. Boilermakers hearts everywhere. Broken. No Final Four run this year. You know, last year we made it to the Final Four for the first time in like 40 years. All right. Hey, chat. I'm glad you can hear now, Trevor. Zero, welcome in. My weekly sports update, my bi-weekly, tri-weekly sports update is over. So we have some other things we can get to now. There were a couple of new documents since my last live in the Lori Vallow Daybell case, so we'll get to those first. Those are not big deals. They're basically just final pretrial motions.
Sorry, I had to mute out for a moment, but I am back. I had something that I had to go take care of, but I'm here listening.
Well, I know how much you care about basketball.
Yeah, that was a perfect timing, so I had to go take care of something. Yep. Now I'm back, so.
All right, good deal. All right, so we'll get to the Lori Vallow Daybell docs first. This one is just a summary of the final pretrial management conference. And this one's a little longer than the other one. The other one is a motion by the state, just paperwork type stuff, or housekeeping, I guess you would call it. But this is the time is set for the final trial management conference. This is on both cases. This cites both cases. That's unusual. The court informs the parties that the trial will be held in courtroom 5D of the South Court Tower. I believe that's where her first December hearing was. It is a much bigger courtroom than Judge Boreski's 1104. The court provides the parties with proposed juror questionnaire. Discussion is held regarding the same. The court shall modify question 15 of the proposed juror questionnaire to include any supplemental names that may arise during trial. The parties, that's parties plural, anticipate about 21 days of trial with about 1 week for jury selection. So if they go 4 days a week, that's 5 weeks plus a couple of days plus jury deliberations. Discussion is held regarding the state's notice of compliance with disclosures of January 31st recordings. The defendant informs the court that she has not received prior files and documents from her previous team. This is summarizing what we've talked about before, but there are some details that we haven't talked about before, like what courtroom is it going to be in. Defendant informs the court, discussion is held regarding the defendant's pro se supplemental rule 15 to notice of defenses and disclosures. Let the record reflect defendant's investigator Jeff White is present in the courtroom and addresses the court. Discussion is held regarding the state's discovery disclosure and defendant's request to review a cell phone in the Chandler Police Department, evidence and untimely disclosures. Further discussion is held regarding the state's Rule 609 motion and defendant's right to testify at trial. The court will address the 609 issue during trial. Further discussion is held regarding trial presentation logistics and schedule, including future dates for defendant's next trial in the 2022 case. The court further reiterates that the remote e-questionnaire will be sent out between March 24th and March 27th, 2025. So those jurors have got those questionnaires if they were selected for that pool of 200 prospective jurors. So they send out e-questionnaires. I didn't know that. The parties will meet on March 31st, 2025 to discuss strikes for cause/hardship. In-person voir dire shall occur April 1, 2, and 3. So they're going to take, yeah, they are going to, it looks like they are going to only go 4 days a week and take Friday off. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go March 31st. That's Monday. I'm not even sure that hearing will be open to the public because it's going to be her against the prosecutor talking about causes for hardship and stuff, and probably nothing all that enlightening. Discussion is held regarding defendant's request for reviewing Chandler Police Department discovery, extractions, and chain of custody implications. It is ordered affirming the trial date of March 31st, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. before this division. It is ordered that no time be excluded. Last day remains May 11th, 2025. However, it will be necessary to exclude additional time in the 2022 case because the parties cannot complete 2 trials at the same time. The current projected start date for the 2022 case is Friday, May 30th, 2025. Court will confirm the start date and last day issues at some point toward the end of the trial that's beginning on March 31st. Yeah, Zero, she does want that video from that interview room. We watched part of that the other day. We didn't watch the whole thing. But she wants the one from the actual interview room camera, not the body worn camera videos, which is what we were watching. So state claims it doesn't exist. I have a hard time believing that. Like, all those interview rooms are recorded like all the time, right? They just have those things running all the time. If it was Indiana State Police, they may have recorded over it though by now.
I was about to say the county who maintained that video would be the ones who have it if it's still out there. And I've never seen the one out there she was complaining was out there. We've seen what's out there, but I've not seen that particular one.
Yeah, she was very particular and specific in mentioning that it was a camera that was in the upper corner of the courtroom.
I know. So I'm saying I've never seen what she's talking about, and she claims
Yeah.
it's on the internet. I understand what
Yep.
she's saying happened, but now that's that's between the prosecution and the county who maintain custodialship over that evidence, you know?
Right, the city of Gilbert.
Yeah, and it could be Lori just blowing smoke like we see a lot of defense attorneys doing right now.
Well, she said she got that link, that information from her prior defense team, specifically from that mitigator, and her name was actually mentioned in trial, the mitigator's name. And
yeah,
that's when Lori complained that she didn't get.
You mean it? Yeah.
They won't give her that. So.
Well, if it's there.
Hi, Carol.
We'll see. We'll see,
welcome,
won't we?
Carol. Lou, welcome in. All right, so that's that one. Nothing new or shocking there. A couple of details we didn't know for sure, but that's basically a summary of the last hearing, plus the judge's rulings and specific times laid out, and specific courtroom. Okay, so this is the other one that dropped. I think it dropped yesterday, even though it says 3/27. So it may have come out overnight on the 27th. This is a pretty simple one, pretty standard motion. State's motion to preclude media from displaying or disclosing phone numbers and email for witnesses and victims. State of Arizona, through undersigned counsel, the state will be presenting evidence at trial regarding cell phone calls, text messages, and email messages involving several of the noticed witnesses. Many of these witnesses still use the same cell phone number and or email address. The state is requesting the court order the media to blur out any exhibits that show the witnesses' cell phone numbers and or email addresses, and to remove, not air, any testimony where the cell phone number or email address is spoken. I don't know if court TV cameramen can keep up with that. The state is requesting this for the safety, fairness, and respect of the witnesses. Sure. the state for the request pursuant to the Constitution of the State of Arizona Victims' Bill of Rights that this court order any media to blur out any documents containing the victim's cell phone numbers and or email addresses. The Victims' Bill of Rights provide that a victim of a crime has a right to be treated with fairness, respect, and dignity, and to be free from intimidation, harassment, or abuse throughout the criminal justice process. Arizona Revised Statutes, Chapter 40 provides a victim has the right at any court proceeding not to testify regarding any identifying or locating information unless the victim consents or the court order disclosure, finding that a compelling need for the information exists. In this case, there were several court orders to protect the victim's identifying and locating information. At trial, the state will likely need to present some of the victim's locating information. Why can't the state do that? Why can't the state redact the sensitive information and presenting it? The jury doesn't need to know that. I mean, they can redact like half of it, and if we don't know the other half. So say they're talking about text messages between a certain phone number to another certain phone number, they can redact the first, you get I mean, how many digits do we need to see to identify each individual phone number? I don't know why the state can't do that, because it is going to be a problem, because they're asking that any media blur out any identifying information. And this is while we're going to be watching a only slightly delayed pool feed. So who is going to be responsible for blurring that out before it goes out?
Information that what's on a document or a piece of paper that because I had to deal with something. I was trying to listen and follow what you're reading. What is she specifically talking about here?
Any victims or witnesses' phone numbers or email addresses that appear on any state's evidence presented at trial.
If it's already, if it's already redacted in the documents or the material that will be presented, there's nothing to worry about. Most of it is already.
She's saying, okay, go ahead.
And if it's not, they can easily remedy that situation. And most people are aware of the information she's talking about already. Now, do the jurors that, are going to be sitting there know phone numbers? No. There's always redacted phone numbers in documents. So she needs to kind of get over herself with this one. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Like, it's not going to make or break a camera being in the courtroom or anything like that. You know what I mean? She's just trying every method, it appears. But courts have been dealing with sensitive information and documents during court proceedings for a long time.
Right. And Dizzy makes a good point in chat that court TV will be the pool feed, and they've been used to doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But that means we all have to watch court TV, because I very specifically remember the hearing where the representative of court TV, and I think
I don't know what can you. So you're thinking we can only watch it on court TV, right? But that's not how that works. East Idaho News, Law and Crime, local affiliates, they all get that same pool feed and can air it at the same time.
Right. So here's my point.
Okay.
When the court TV representative was standing up there in front of the judge arguing to be the pool feed camera, he said, once we send out that pool feed, we can't control what happens after that. So they're going to be sending out a raw pool feed. So it will be up to each individual one of those, like East Idaho News, that gets that pool feed to do their own redaction and blurring.
Well, that's true. But if there's a document, if they're making a statement, what about a name or a phone number, that stuff can be bleeped. And that is on them. But she's making a big deal about nothing. She really is. It's kind of like a lot of these Koberger filings that are coming out with these defense teams. She's reaching and grasping. What can I do to get all this camera shit away from me? Because I don't want the world to really know the monster I really am.
No,
I
this
want
isn't
to
her.
control.
This is the state's motion.
Yeah, I know, but she's already had, her filings. They have their filings. And I don't know, like I said, these courts and these prosecutors and defense attorneys really need to get together and come to a meeting of the minds on how all this stuff, this minor stuff, is handled moving forward. Because you're bogging down the court system, you're playing stupid, and you're dragging out hearings and trials for no reason. This stuff can all be worked out. In my opinion, it shouldn't even be rocket science. You know what I mean? So why they, making big deals about it is just, I don't get why. I don't get why. Ann needs a hot document list on my way, and I guess in the works right now. Court TV and all them, they're over here worried about redactions. Y'all hold up. I know how to edit stuff too. It's just I don't know, dude. Some of these filings are crazy, right? With from both sides, especially when they start, filing replies to one another. Now, so this is like a reply to some of the Lori stuff, or is this just a blanket filing from the prosecutor? Because I don't think the prosecution cares if cameras stay in there or not. You know what I mean? They don't want them out. So what I'm trying to figure out, so is this a filing where they're replying to something of hers?
No, it's just a standard motion to make sure that now that they know there's going to be a TV feed in there, a camera in there,
Mm-hmm.
that if
Mm-hmm.
they present, so she has a list of documents that have phone numbers and emails on them that she's going to present as evidence. So they're going to be up on the big screen and they're going to be on
Well, then she
on the
needs to
TV.
redact her evidence. Then that's up to her.
Yep, that's what I was saying. I
Just like
think she should.
there's times that we get documents that aren't redacted and they don't pertain to the person being investigated, like they could be, and we will take the opportunity to redact a name. I've done it in the Maddie Soto case. Witnesses' names. There was no reason for that stuff to be out there early on because I know how these streets can be. So I was like, you know what? I'm not comfortable with that. So I redacted the name. So Lori, get your shit together, girlfriend. If you got any documents out there, you get it all redacted and get it in nice and neat, right? So we can get on with the show. I mean, you're
Then we
she's
can get
not
on with
doing
my
the
show.
families any justice, not doing Charles any justice. We're banging our heads against doors like little children over words that can't be said in court and how we're going to present the case and how we're going to talk about this or that. And did the juror ever know my name before? We won't go out and commit past crimes, then maybe they wouldn't. It's things like this. Let's get past the silliness at some point.
Yeah, and we're about to see 5.5 weeks of silliness, I think.
Well, if they can just get past this kind of stuff and let
Right.
us get on to trial, we're gonna see her silliness, of course, but that's okay because that's gonna hang her.
Yeah.
That
The
will hang her in the end.
state is therefore requesting the court order the media to redact, blur, remove from any recording the victim's cell phone number and or email address and or any other identifying and locating information. The request is made to ensure the victims are treated with fairness, dignity, and respect. That's it.
Oh, that's it. He's like, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's the end of the motion. Redaction. So victims and witnesses, they don't want identifying information displayed on the pool on anybody that airs it from any media. Nobody's wanting to call her. All right. So speaking of other abusive LDS adjacent women, Jody Hildebrandt filed a motion last week for a post-conviction relief in her case out of Utah. And when that case came out, a little more than a year ago, they were sentenced about a year ago. Her and Ruby Frank were sentenced about a year ago, and I didn't pay that much attention to that case at the time. Where'd Salty go? There she is.
I
I
fell
looked at
off.
streaming.
I fell off the stage, man. I'm like, well, where'd that go? I fell right out of there.
I looked at StreamYard and it's just Charlie up there, and I'm like, what happened?
It actually let me chat in chat today from my phone. I'm like, I'm gonna have fun now. I slept pretty decent last night. You know, come and went throughout the night. But hey, it was all way better. So I'm not. I was tired yesterday.
So I didn't pay that much attention to that case when it first came out. So I'm just going to run over a couple of videos and replay a couple of like the big picture videos, no deep dives. But these are
So
two women that.
hey, you saw the where Nate Eaton addresses Lori's him on her witness list, correct? And that he filed documentation about it.
Oh yes, yeah.
I mean, that's a kind of important follow up.
Yes, it is. I forgot that I had that. All right, let's watch a couple of videos about this Jody Hildebrandt motion, and then we'll come back to that.
Jody. Right? I'm just talking out loud.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Thanks for reminding me about that. I forgot that came out too.
Yeah.
And I've got it. I just got to pull it up into my Acrobat here.
You're good, because this stuff with Jody's really interesting too. It's like, how dare you, lady?
So we're going to go back and look at the very beginning. We're going to see that Ring doorbell cam when Chad escapes from the house and goes over to a neighbor. He actually rings two neighbors' doorbells, but the second guy answers and finds him emaciated. And I think he still had duct tape on his feet.
Mm-hmm. This neighbor was like so appalled by what he saw, and it really bothered him, you know, and they did the right thing. They got him in there, got him safe, got the phone call made, and kept him right there with them until the police showed up.
Yeah.
Could you imagine getting a kid like this come knocking on your door?
Mm.
You have to hold me back from where you just came from, son, because I'm going.
Answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Yes. Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors. Well, what are they?
Look how skinny his legs are. And the neighbor, you know, when somebody just comes up and knocks on your door, you know, he's skeptical. You know, well, can you do me 2 favors? What are they?
Yeah, a typical elderly man, you know.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's the way it was. And then when they show close-ups of this child sitting at the ambulance, you can still see the duct tape on his feet around his ankles.
I don't think I have that in this video.
There's a lot of photos of this child you can't unsee once you see them.
Mm.
You need to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine. What's going on, son? Have a seat there. It's personal business. Have a seat. What's your name? How'd you get here? I 221512. I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's says he just came from a neighbor's house, and he's emaciated. He's got tape around his legs. He's hungry and he's thirsty. Need someone immediately. But he has duct tape around his injuries. There's sores around him. Yeah, there's sores around him. I think the It's a good chance he's been,
He also has
oh, and he has
around
around
his
his
wrist
ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has been.
Needs immediate attention. Oh, he was such a good kid.
This kid is obviously been. I think he's hungry and, he's been running back. He's had a very stocking feet. So he escaped.
We need the police here now.
They're on the line.
Oh, that sweet lady.
You don't have any allergies in that? Okay.
I hear cars, they're not coming on the driveway.
There's a safe, door safe on the other side of it.
All right. So then the police arrive and they go to his house and find this situation in the basement. This was at Jody Hildbrandt's house, right?
Yes.
Mm.
That's designed to keep someone in, not let someone go out. And so to me, this is almost like a penalty box.
We're taking you inside the vault in Jody Hildebrandt's basement, raided the same day that Ruby Frankie's emaciated children were rescued from months of torture and abuse.
And then medical got there. They started cutting the stuff off him, and then you can see like the dark around his ankles, and it you could smell it, the flesh.
We're hearing from a former FBI agent who says it's
So there's Jody right there in court. There's the ring camera we just watched. Now here's inside the vault.
captures first
Oh, no, that's in the
responders on the
house.
scene, both tending
Yeah,
to
this
the
is the
children in
closet.
need and
The
eventually
little girl was
tracking
there.
down Jody and Ruby. Body camera video shows Ruby Frankie's reaction when she's handcuffed and later when she's questioned by police.
Hey Ruby, at this time I know that said that you're already detained, but I'm going to be taking you back to the police department. Okay, so I'm going to have you pop up. See if I can fit through here.
You want to put on one of our vehicles?
Yeah, you want to. Okay, just place your hand on your back for me. Perfect. And then right now I can put a finger in each of these, okay? And I'm just going to double lock those so they don't tighten up on you on the way out there. Where's your car?
It's out there.
Yeah.
About by the command.
So it's up to you if you want to talk to us about what's going on. Would you feel more comfortable talking?
Of essentials in there. This isn't a time for someone to eat the food that they want and be able to do the things that they want in terms of entertainment. So I think that might be why as well.
We now know that as first responders arrived to the scene, Jody Hildebrandt was already on the phone with her attorney.
Open the door!
Wow.
Jody? I need you to step out.
I have my attorney.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not gonna step out of the
Step out of the
house.
house. Step out of the house.
That's a lawful order, lady.
She's like, nope, I got attorneys. I'm on the phone with my attorney right now. You can't force me out of my home. Lady, step out of the house.
So at this point, it's an investigation. So I wonder what those rights are.
The what?
What the rights are. I wonder if they have already an arrest warrant for her.
I believe at this point they do because they're going to arrest her.
Okay.
But they wanted her to come out and talk. And she's like, nope, nope, nope. I'm on the phone with my attorney. I'm not coming out of my house. You got no right to be here questioning me. Sorry, ma'am. A child just told us he came from your home. We got every right to be here to question you.
Right.
And they need her out of the home because what if this lady's a whack job and she's got weapons in that home and it
Right.
could turn into a, Yeah.
Exigent circumstances, even if they don't have a warrant, there are exigent circumstances here. Yes. All right.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
get through.
they're not trying to enter her home unlawfully, but they need her to come out of that home and talk to them. And that's fair, in my opinion.
Yes. What if there are other kids in there? And there were.
And what if she has weapons? What if she draws one? What if she kidnaps? What if she does all hostage situation starts to occur, or she comes at the police officers out of desperation? There's a lot of things that could go on.
Yeah. Lou says Jody is a piece of garbage. Wait until you see this motion for post-conviction relief.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and skip.
Jody was a piece of garbage that church allowed to brew for a long, long time, sending people to her for consultation and psychiatric care. Go see Jody. She'll fix you.
All right. I'm going to skip past this. I'm going to go to the sentencing. So we know she was, her and Ruby were arrested. They pleaded to aggravated child abuse and were sentenced to something like 4 to 60 years. And I'm not sure what that means when you're sentenced to 44 to 60 years. How long do you actually serve of that? I wonder.
Depends on time served and good behavior. All kind of factors will come into play.
Gotcha. All right. Here's the judge sentencing Jody about a year ago.
Court recalls the matter of State of Utah versus Hildebrandt, case 231501763. Counsel are present. Ms. Hildebrandt is present. Counsel, there is a pre-sentence investigation report. I have read it. Everyone has seen and reviewed that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, the sentence was stipulated at the time of the plea agreement. What record do we need to make other than going forward with sentencing?
So you said the sentence was stipulated during the plea agreement. I believe in some jurisdictions, some states, a judge does not have to adhere to the sentencing recommendation at the sentencing. If I remember right, he can make it whatever he wants.
They usually go by sentencing guidelines, though.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they usually go with the plea agreement, but I have seen a few cases where the judge is like, nope, that's not
Well,
enough.
if the plea agreement, but they still each party has to agree to the plea agreement. Then the judge can come back and say, well, wait, this isn't, going to cut it, rework this agreement. But as far as sentencing on a charge that wasn't a plea agreement, they're going to go with sentencing guidelines.
Right.
Your Honor, it would be repetitive. I had the same statement just with the last few paragraphs where I was differentiating between Ms. Frank and Ms. Hildebrandt.
Okay, let's talk about housekeeping matters first. What about restitution?
We've stipulated to keep that open for 8 months.
It is appropriate, Your Honor, since we don't have any evidence with respect to restitution, and that's because it is still in the process of being gathered by the county attorney's office. It's completely appropriate for the court to make no orders with respect to restitution other than to reserve all issues regarding restitution, and we have no issue with the eight-month time frame.
And the injunction that was previously issued by the court will remain in effect?
It will.
At least until that time?
It will remain in effect until further order of this court.
All right. Mr. Clark?
Thanks, Your Honor. The state of Utah respectfully requests that the court sentence Ms. Hildebrandt to consecutive prison terms for each of the 4 counts of aggravated child abuse to which she has pleaded guilty. The sentence was agreed to her in her plea agreement and is also recommended by adult probation and parole. Ms. Hildebrandt committed awful acts of child abuse. From May to August 2023, she and her business partner held 2 children, ages 9 and 11, turning 12, in a concentration camp-like setting in her house in Ivan City. The children were regularly denied food, water, beds to sleep in, and virtually all forms of entertainment. They were isolated from others and were hidden when people came to visit the house. They were forced to do physical tasks like carrying loaded boxes up and down stairs and doing wall sits or sitting against a wall without assistance of a chair or stool for hours at a time.
So Salty, can you explain more of the relationship between Ruby and Jody? Because this is Jody's house, but it's Ruby's kids that were being abused. So
Yeah, so Jody ran the 8 Passengers, YouTube channel. And then she hooked up with Jody, who runs the Connections, which is the psychological company that, evaluates and offers services to people. So Ruby and her husband were having issues. And of course, a good little wife, she reaches out for counseling for her and her husband, and they landed with Jody. And then she and Jody form a fast friendship. She buys into all of Jody's teachings at that point and adopts a lot of them, which heightened her own level of abuse she was already projecting onto her children, right? This made it worse. This is when her older children started saying, Mom, come on, Jody convinced the husband that he was completely the problem. He needed to move out of the home to benefit his marriage and to be a good father to his children. That it was not, Ruby wasn't the problem, he was the problem. So therefore he bought it, hook, line, and sinker. The church recommends her. So that's how the problems started. And then Jody and once Jody and Ruby got together, they began to form their own business and do promotions on that. There's YouTube stuff out there on that as well. And then at some point when he moved out of the home, her husband, then the abuse with the younger children really got elevated, and she would leave them in Jody's care, to help her get the devil out of the children.
Okay. Now I get it.
Yeah. She would allow those kids to go to Jody's to do, Jody can do her work and, release those kids of their demons.
He had to have been there for a while if the duct
He
tape
was.
like, oh my gosh.
Look, his older 2 children have already spoke out because they're adults now, and they've reconciled with their dad, and he's trying, I guess, to own his part or lack of part, for not standing up to Jody, not seeing the red flags when they were right there in front of his face. But he was basing everything on what he was taught his entire life. To be a good husband and to do what his therapist is recommending and all these things. At some point, he should have put his foot down and said, wait a minute, this is not making sense to me. I don't care what I was taught as a Mormon. This isn't making sense. And my children are being harmed. But he didn't do that until it was almost too late. It was too late, actually. But now, I don't know him like that. I don't know what he went through. But I know his older children have reconciled with him, and they weren't always on a good terms with him when all this was happening. We have played stuff about that. I know I have on my channel interviews with the daughter and the son and the dad and her husband, recent interviews that they've done. But that's the backstory about them too, how they hooked up, how they became business partners, how Jody moved Kevin right out of the house and took complete control over Jody. And Jody allowed it.
Well, the judge had some choice words for her, which are relevant to me with this new doctor op with her motion for post-conviction relief. So we'll see what the judge has to say to her at sentencing.
We will submit it to the court on the stipulated agreement.
Mr. Terry, you suggested that there are 2 sides to every case. I generally agree with you. Ms. Hildebrand didn't make a statement to AP&P in the course of the pre-sentence investigation report.
Correct.
Why did she not make a statement?
She wanted to reserve her right to make a statement before the court today, and she has a brief statement that she wants to read, Your Honor.
Okay.
And
all right. Ms. Hildebrand? Go ahead.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience which would have been detrimental to them.
That you caused.
My hope and prayer is that they will
What
She caught.
did you have?
I said she caused it. She doesn't want to.
Right.
She's taking a plea because she doesn't want the kids to have to relive what was, done to them by her hands. Forget.
It's a
I would have not. I would have said, "Lady, you're not getting a plea deal. Go to court and face your accusers." I get would have been hard on the kids, but kids usually testify remotely. There's all kids have been testifying in courts forever. It's not easy, of course, but for her to take the plea to, prevent them from having to go through more, I get, but now you can't cry foul about it.
yeah, and there. I usually probably would skip past her statement, but it's relevant because it seems similar to me to Lori Daybell's
Mm-hmm.
mindset, except Lori took it another step above it and said there were no murders. Jesus knows there were no murders.
Yeah. Jesus knows everything, Lori.
Will heal and move forward to have beautiful lives. I am willing to submit to what the state feels would be an appropriate amount of time served to make retribution as an outcome.
And in answer to your question, Your Honor, I knew that whatever she might say to the author of the pre-sentence report would probably sound hollow and self-serving, and perhaps it does today. But I know that my client
Perhaps it sounds hollow and self-serving today. He's just doing his job. I understand, but
the statement that she makes to the court today, that statement is absolutely sincere.
Does Ms. Hildebrandt recognize that it's her behavior that caused the harm to the children that she's referred to in her statement?
Your Honor, she recognizes that she was, along with Miss Frankie, that she made decisions with respect to the discipline of those children that were wrong, that caused harm to those children. She fully recognizes that and accepts responsibility for that.
All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Here we go.
Liar.
Mrs. Hildebrandt, this circumstance is tragic. It's largely, of course, of your making. By any measure, your conduct in this case was disastrous for these children. Adults are supposed to protect children. Adults with specialized training in particular are supposed to protect children. You didn't do that in this case. In this case, you terrorized children, and the results have been tragic. It's what happened to these children, and your philosophy in dealing with them, frankly, seems detached from reality or any objective standard of decency or even common sense. And the court finds that it is appropriate that you serve a prison sentence. The court finds under the statute, Utah Code 76-3-401, that given the gravity and circumstances of the offenses, the number of victims, and the history and character and needs of the defendant, that consecutive sentences are appropriate. The court imposes 4 1 to 15-year sentences to be, again, served consecutively for each of the 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. The last thing I do need to tell you is that you only have 30 days to file or perfect an appeal of any error of the court by filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk of the court.
30 days from a year ago.
If you don't do that, you will lose your right to appeal. That has to be filed in writing and again within 30 days. You also have the right to the assistance of an attorney and to have an attorney appointed if you cannot afford to hire your own. Thank you. We're in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks, Your Honor.
She had 30 days to file an appeal, and yet she did this. Hold on. About a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. right, so we're going to see Lori's PDF first, and then that's going to disappear, and we're going to see Jody's filing, filed March 24th, 2025, in the 5th Judicial District Court, Washington County, Utah, 206 West Tabernacle Street, St. George, so that's in southwest Utah. Jody Hildebrandt, petitioner, versus the state of Utah, respondent. Petition for relief under the Post-Conviction Remedies Act, Utah Code Section 78B-9-101, Utah Rule of Civil Procedure 65C, case number 250500-259. Oh, so they assigned it a new modern case number. Not in reference to her 23 case? That's interesting. Name 1. Name of respondent. Conviction of felony, state of Utah, county of Washington. Identification of current and related cases. Name of the court that entered the judgment being challenged, 5th District Court. Case number that, okay, there's the 23 case number, 2315-01763. Date of judgment being challenged, February 20th, 2024. So she's way over a year after the sentencing. Sentence, which we just heard, 4 consecutive terms of 1 to 15 years. Utah State Prison. Nature of offense involved 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. What was your plea? Guilty. This is kind of like a form that they give prisoners. Obviously, if you entered a plea of guilty to some counts and not guilty plea to other counts, give your plea to each count. Not applicable. Pled guilty to 4 counts. If you pled not guilty, not applicable. Did you testify at the trial? There was no trial. Did you appeal from the conviction or sentence? No. Oops. If your answer was yes. If you did not appeal from your conviction or sentence, why not? I did not understand my rights. Lady?
Didn't understand her rights. Her lawyer was, he didn't explain nothing to her, none of that. It's all her, what she's talked about in her motion, that he was ineffective counsel. He didn't explain the procedures to her properly, but she stood there in court and said she understood.
We just watched it. Other than your direct appeal from your conviction or sentence, have you filed any petitions, applications, motions? None. Other than the case described in question 12, have you filed any further petitions? None. Do you have any petition, appeal, or motion now pending in court? None. Grounds for relief. Here we go, guys. Notice to the petitioner, you may be barred from presenting additional grounds in a future post-conviction petition if you fail to present any grounds you could not present here but do not. All right, that's all standard. Here we go. This is her argument. Conviction or sentence obtained by plea of guilty that was unlawfully induced or not made knowingly and voluntarily with understanding. Oh, they're giving her grounds to pick from. They're giving her, like, these are the most common things that people appeal for post-conviction relief on. If you believe, here's a good one, if you believe any of the grounds apply to you, you must allege facts. You must allege facts.
Facts, lady, not fiction. What I want to know is, when are they going to, you know how the Catholic Church more and more came out about these preachers and priests, whatever they're called, doing things to young boys and all this, finally started coming out. Where are the whistleblowers in the LDS Church besides these high-profile cases of Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frank, Lori, and Chad? Knowing what they were doing was all tied into the LDS Church, both parties here. Fringe, I get it with Lori and Chad, but they absolutely believed the core teachings they were taught, which led them to their fringeful path they took and incorporated other stuff in their things. Jody did the same thing with her psychology. She went unchecked 4 years by the church, with the church recommending people go see her. When they go to their authority at the church and they're like, we need counseling, the church tells them where to go receive said counseling. A lot of folks were sent Jody's way, even though Jody had lost her license in the past, before all this. So it's at some point, people who are in the know need to stop being afraid of that church and Jesus, because Jesus ain't going to harm you for doing the right thing. So who are you afraid of at these churches that y'all can't come out and whistle blow? That's where I'm at with this, with these LDS people.
Yeah, and I think Kresha and I kind of got into that in our last discussion about the Glenn Pace memo. Actually, 2 discussions ago, and then revisited again last discussion about the Glenn Pace memo.
Yeah, but
So
it's been ignored. I mean, people have read it.
hold on.
Yeah.
I wanted to reinforce her points, because this guy that wrote that memo, the Glenn Pace memo, he was interviewing people that were involved in ritualistic abuse and actual satanic rituals, as
Right.
stated in his memo, and he did not report it to the police.
Hey, there you go. So what was the point of the Pace memo? To warn the church that people are going to find out about what you're doing? Exactly. I read it. I'm just saying that there's not enough, and that the talks that like you guys are having and that Megan's doing and the other podcasts that she goes on to, the Mormon stories, those are great, but there's just not enough people still enthralled with the church that are willing to come out and say anything.
Well, it's a systemic problem within the church. It is a culture of covering things up, closing
That's
your eyes, burying your head in the sand.
and that with most religions, I mean, the Catholics did it for years. Nothing to see here.
Yep.
When we know there was something to see there.
So maybe the more we can get out the word, maybe more people will have the courage to come forward. The more pressure we put on them, the more publicity they get for this. I mean,
maybe, at some point I'd like to see them investigated as a whole, and what are y'all actually teaching people? And I get separation of church and state, and it's really hard to go up against a church entity and beliefs and all of that. But when you cross lines and you start abusing children in the name of that religion, that's a problem. We've seen parents go to court to try to be forced to give their children medical care because they're saying, no, Jesus, we don't believe in that. There's parents been taken to court to be court ordered to get those children medical help. And so there's a fine line between religion and the law. But when you are out collectively and openly abusing children in the name of your religion and everybody wants to form around them and protect them, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, either protect or turn a blind eye to.
Yeah, either way, same thing.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So here's her argument in this motion for post-conviction relief. State concisely every ground on which you claim you are entitled to post-conviction relief. Summarize briefly the facts supporting each ground. If necessary, you may attach additional pages stating additional grounds and facts supporting same. A Rule 65C memorandum of points and authorities, which presents all pertinent facts and applicable authorities, is being placed in the prison mail system today. She's supposed to attach it to this. You don't place it in the mail system. If any of the grounds listed, is that any of A, B, C, D, E, for the facts and applicable authorities is being placed in the prison mail system today? Denial. Okay, so she does make some arguments above here. Okay, these are her arguments. Okay. I thought those were standard things that the form read, but these are her arguments. Conviction or sentence obtained by plea of guilty that was unlawfully induced or not made knowingly and voluntarily, with understanding of the nature of the charge and the consequences of plea. Bullshit. Ineffective assistance of counsel. Terry did no investigation, advised waiver of the preliminary hearing, did not demand a bill of particulars to clarify the charges, did not explain the charging statute, did not negotiate a plea agreement that conformed to law, and did not advise Hildebrandt of her constitutional rights. The judge did, though, lady. I don't know what went on between you and your attorney, but the judge, you stood up in front of the judge and said you knew what your constitutional rights were and what you were waiving by agreeing to the plea deal. Prosecutorial misconduct. Conviction or sentence obtained by the unconstitutional failure of the prosecution to provide to the defendant adequate notice of the charges, negotiation of an unlawful plea agreement. D, plain error. Conviction or sentence obtained by failure of the court to enforce defendant's constitutional right to adequate notice of the charges, accepted guilty plea to unlawful plea agreement. E, structural error. Denial of Hildebrandt's due process rights for adequate notice of charges and accurate application of the law governing the terms of the plea agreement. So she has 5 state concisely grounds for relief. State concisely every ground. I'm not sure that she filled this form out correctly, but I don't know. It just not making 100% sense that her every ground is above 15 and not below it. If any of the grounds listed above were not previously presented in any other court, state or federal, state briefly which grounds were not presented and your reason. None on the enumerated grounds were previously presented to any court. I did not know my rights and my attorney did not inform me of them.
Oh, boo-hoo.
The judge did. The judge did. Every judge does.
Defense filings, I'm telling you.
Arraignment, plea, trial, sentencing. There is no appeal. Petitioner's pro se. Do you have any future sentence to serve after you complete the sentence imposed by the judgment being challenged? No. So she's challenging all 4 counts, all 4 plea agreements. Hey, Carol, welcome in. Moonchild, yeah, I was trying to simplify what I was saying about the church. I don't know what the answer is. I think they need to be investigated, but people like me, social media investigators, like can only do so much. So what is the answer? I don't know. Like, how do we take on the Mormon church? I don't know. Required attachments, notice to the petitioner, attach a copy, the judgment, commitment, standard things. Are there any exhibits at the end? It is her sentencing from the 2023 case that she pled to in 2024. All aggravated child abuse intentionally or knowingly. That's all stuff from her prior case that she is required to attach to this filing. So nothing we need to go back over. These cases, they're exhausting.
You better get some stamina, Joe.
Oh my gosh, yeah, right.
They can be, right? Look, I've been poring over documents for weeks, I feel like, until my eyes started going crazy.
So let's go to something that's not any lighter, but is a little divergent from the religious thing. This came down this week from the Austin Police Department.
Follow up to one of the stories we've been covering, right?
Yes.
In case you guys don't know, we have deep dove this stuff. We got playlists here on Joe's channel. I think we've done most of it on your channel, haven't we? There may be some on mine.
Yeah, there may be some on yours. My brain has been preoccupied with Lori, so I don't know that I can remember exact time and dates, but we have done deep, deep dives, and I did a boots on the ground. And how many bodies have they found in like the last 10 years? Like 14, 15, 16 now? Does this make
Yeah.
16?
I think this one will be 16. I'd have to go back to my notes and do my count.
So Lady Bird Lake is a lake that was formed by damming up the Colorado River on the south side of the city of Austin, Texas. And they have been finding bodies in or immediately adjacent to that lake for decades. But there have been a huge number of them over like the last 8 years. Like, I think if you go back to 2008, so, you know, going back 19 years, I think we're in the 24 range now. And it's the vast majority of them. If you look at my tweet here, so I tweeted out, that's March 27th, so 2 days ago. That was in the early morning hours. So they found the body, I think, late on the 26th and had the presser on the 27th. No, this is from the 27th, so 2 days ago. Austin police detectives are responding to reports of a deceased person in the water near the 90 block of Congress Avenue, which is where quite a few other bodies have been found. This is a death investigation. This is their usual response. No foul play suspected. Not a single one of these bodies has been determined to be a homicide, and the vast majority of them, they say no foul play suspected. So that's right down here at the bottom of my tweet. That's what I say. It's the same old, same old. Body found face down in the water, recovered, declared deceased on scene, seeking witnesses and cameras that may have heard or seen anything. Why are you looking for witnesses if there's no foul play suspected and it's not a homicide? So they held a presser on it. We're going to take a look at that presser. But I want to go back. Actually, let's look at the presser now. I think I did the pressers in reverse order. So let me do it that way. So on my way driving from Indiana to Phoenix area, I took a little detour and took a little midnight walk on the North Lake. But before that, I visited Lady Bird Lake in the daytime, because you probably should check the area before you go out there at night. But I was planning on going out at night to see what it was like at night, because that's when most of the people disappear. Where's that screen?
I thought you were going to disappear out there on me.
Did I disappear?
When you were at Lady Bird Lake?
Oh.
I thought you were going to. Some bizarre things were happening, especially once the live ended and it was just me and you left out there on Lady Bird Lake, and I'm on the phone with you and you're all walking around and being approached about a missing woman and stuff. I'm like, Joe, get to your hotel room and fast. Let me know when you get in there, man. Lock the doors. Some bizarre things were starting to happen. Nothing good comes around Lady Bird Lake after midnight, guys.
So here is Google Earth. Austin is kind of lower central Texas. And usually when you're driving from Indiana to Phoenix, you would come up the northerly route and like through the Panhandle. But I took a little detour and I went down here. Let's zoom in on the Luster Pearl.
The Lustre Pearl.
Ooh,
We have questions about that place.
Yeah, we do.
Is there somebody lurking, putting stuff in drinks?
So this is Lady Bird Lake. You can see the dam is down here by this bridge over here, and it dammed up the Colorado River and made a lake. And it's really a nice lake, you know, just south of downtown. It's beautiful during the daytime.
It really is. It was
There
really
are
a pretty area, huh? Because we've watched
yes,
some videos, guys, of the trail system there, the area there, and then when Joe went and filmed video for us down there, it was really a nice area
and
with
there
some
are walking,
sketchiness here and there, but a nice area.
especially at night. It changes at
Uh-huh.
night. It
Yeah,
does.
that doesn't everything.
Yeah.
Well, in the crime world, anyway, you know
Right,
what I mean.
exactly. Yeah. But there's a walking, hiking, running, biking path that goes all the way around it. And I think it crosses, oh, I don't think it crosses that bridge. I think it does there somewhere, or maybe it's down here it crosses. But one of the stories of one of the people that went missing was ended up found in the lake. So this right here on Rainy Street is a nightclub area. That's the area that I visited that night that I went there, or that's where I started anyway. I actually started right in front of the Luster Pearl, but so did that guy that ended up in the lake a couple of years ago. Was that, I think, a 2022 case or 2021 case? Something like that. So he started his night at the Luster Pearl, and then they walked to the Alibi, or they Ubered to the Alibi social bar over here. And this bridge right here, that's Congress Street. Let me turn on roads real quick. Oh, I have roads on. So South Congress Avenue. So you saw that the post from the Austin Police Department said the 90 block of South Congress Avenue. That's like right here. So I think the body was found right here. Within days after I visited, there was another body found.
Now,
So
where was the
December,
newest, Joe? Where was the newest body located in correlation to the rest of our bodies?
the one they just released, the
Yeah,
one they just found, they said the 90 block of South Congress Avenue. So I'm thinking right here on the south
that's
end.
close. That's closer to where a couple of victims were.
Yes, and I need to pin drop all of these on here again.
We do. We do. We got to sit down and do that.
We keep getting distracted by other things. All right. So days after I was there was another body found right here, and then a couple of weeks after that, there was another body found after that. So I actually have those three press conferences. So I'm going to play them in order. The one that was found right after I was there, and then the one that was found like a week and a half after that, and then there was one that was found like a couple of days ago. So let's do that. All right, so we're going to see Jody's judge, and then we'll skip to the first press conference. The audio is low, so you have to turn your volume up, and I'll try and stop talking. But I will. The reporters' questions are especially low volume, so I will pause and repeat them if they're hard to hear, if I can hear them. So this presser is on the north bank of Lady Bird Lake, very near where I visited.
Okay, ready? All right. Good morning. I'm Officer Leah Ratliff with the Austin Police Department Public Information Office. This morning at approximately 8:16 a.m., officers responded to a check wall for urgent here in the area around Zone 3 of Lady Bird Lake. A 911 call was received from a kayaker who is paddling upstream and observed some type of object in the water. On closer approach, it appeared to be a deceased person. The Austin Fire Department and the Austin Homicide detectives responded, and the fire department was able to retrieve the deceased person from the water. Based on appearance, it looks like a person who was experiencing homelessness. The person also appeared to be an unknown race, female. It appeared that the person was possibly trying to stay warm. At this time, there is nothing that.
We talked about that when we watched this before. She was trying to stay warm. How did she end up face down in the water if she was trying to stay warm? And during the day, when I visited, it was nice and warm and sunny, but it was starting to get pretty chilly at night, like down in the 40s, I believe, in the upper 40s.
Appears to be suspicious to detectives, and this is being investigated as a deceased person.
Nothing suspicious to detectives. You mean like a dead body in the water?
And I'll take any questions.
So just to be clear, is there any connection with the other bodies that have been found in and around Lady Bird Lake over the last week?
So that reporter asks, is there any connection to the other bodies that have been found around the Lady Bird Lake? So people in the area, reporters in the area, they're aware that there are too many bodies being found in and around Lady Bird Lake.
So I talked to the homicide detective on scene. There's nothing that appears to be suspicious. There's no type of connection that they believe based off of today.
And you mentioned maybe trying to stay warm. What led you to believe that?
Just from the detective's observation of the deceased person when
So Austin Police Department has a publicity problem. This is a quote unquote public information officer. Like, I use that term loosely because I don't know that that's her official title, but she was just asked, what do you mean trying to stay warm? Why do you think that she was trying to stay warm? And her answer is because based on the detective's observations.
Is this the lady who fell in the water they claimed was trying to stay warm?
Yes.
So again, how do y'all know she was trying to stay warm if she was found in the water? Was she hunched over a fire that fell into the water with her? Was there a fire evidence on the bank? Is that what you're that makes it didn't make no sense when they said it, and it don't make any sense now. And a lot of police departments have a PR problem.
Yeah, and that last reporter asked that very question, what evidence do you have that she was trying to stay warm? And her answer was based on the detective's observations, which is Doug Carter-ish word salad.
Yeah, they said, I remember them saying that last time. And again, I'm going to say, if she was in the water, what position was her body in that led an officer to believe that's what she was doing before she fell in the water? Right. Is there evidence of a fire? Because I saw evidence of little fires all up and down the lake there when you walk the map. So again, I'm going to ask the stupid officer, and I'm going to call him that at this point. Was there a fire evidence near the bank? And was she, what do you mean? But based on your observation, she's in the down water. How can you tell she was trying to stay warm? I don't think anybody trying to stay warm is going to get close enough to slip and fall into the water. It's cold.
No, not trying to stay warm. You're not. No, you're going to get away
exactly.
from the water. Yeah.
So they got the Doug Carter word salad going along. We need some big old bottle of dressing, don't we? We need to get the biggest one they make. We need one of them jugs, like from the Sam's Club or wherever, the Costco.
I'm gonna have to make me a salad emoji.
I just need a salad dressing emoji. I ain't even thought about it. Right. I know. I got to get one. I got an emoji maker. I just haven't messed with it a lot lately.
she was found. I can't tell you exactly what the detective said. This is what he told to me, but I would assume it would be based off of like clothing, positioning, things like that.
Do you see that more often as the temperatures drop around this time of year?
To see like deceased people.
Yeah, related to maybe trying to stay warm or anything along those lines.
I don't know if we see like an increase in deceased people, but I do think that the changes in weather do make a difference, right? And makes people probably want to do things to find shelter.
Can you explain what that call means? What you called it?
A check well for urgent. So it's just the priority of the call. So it's a high priority call based on what we got from the caller. We want to get officers out there sooner rather than later, just to see if there's any type of preservation of life that we can do on our end.
Any signs of drug or alcohol usage involved in this?
Not that we are aware of.
What is
Okay, that's not the answer that a law enforcement officer should give when a reporter asks, were there any evidence of drugs or alcohol involved? You don't say, not that we're aware of. You say, toxicology reports are pending. That is the standard response. So she's not really experienced at this PR. you never give an absolute answer like that. Not that we're aware of. No, you say toxicology reports are pending.
So zone 3 is actually, and it's kind of hard because of the lake is a different, not block ranges. So zone 3 is probably kind of around this area. So we're kind of at Brazos area.
Yep, and that's where I walked. I walked in zone 3, and we're going to watch a shortened version of that video later of my midnight walk along Lady Bird Lake after this presser and the 2 pressers after this. Just listen to what these responses are from these officers, and it's 3 different officers giving 3 different pressers. But they use very similar language that is confusing to me and it's not helping give the community any confidence that the police is really coming up with any answers about all of these bodies on the lake.
Yeah, off of Brazos Street.
Any surveillance cameras or anything around here that maybe you're checking?
Not to my knowledge. Yeah.
So do you believe she drowned, or the body was already present, so hard to tell?
Well, so the body was already inside of the water when the caller saw it and when detectives and the fire department made contact. So I can't tell you beyond that. So I'm not, but the medical examiner's office will be involved as well. So.
Talk about that witness who found the body and how they're doing. I imagine it's a tough thing to have to see.
I mean, I can imagine that could be something like unexpected. I don't know. I didn't talk to the witness specifically. By the time I got on scene, the witness was no longer on scene.
Talk about what happens next in an investigation like this.
It's kind of up to the detective. So they get a lot of information in their initial investigation, those observations, and kind of from there, it kind of just depends on each case specifically. But there are detectives assigned to it, and so they're actively aware of everything going on.
As you said, no signs of violence, no reason that the public should be concerned, anything like that.
Yeah.
No signs of violence. He's asking no signs of violence, and nothing that says the public should be concerned. If I were a local there, I would be very concerned. I'd be very, very concerned. Whoops.
No signs of violence. No, there's nothing suspicious. There's no known threat to the public as a result of this.
Is this the first body of the year as far as the female body found up later? Like I know we had a lot of other bodies found throughout the year. Is this the first female one? I think that one's a male.
I would not be.
So this reporter's question was about the fact that this was a female body found. The vast majority of them have been male bodies found around the lake, in and around the lake, which leads to some local speculation about certain bars and people that go to those bars having their drink spiked and disappearing and winding up in the lake. There are some theories out there about that. But the one back in the beginning of December was female, and the one just found a couple of days ago was also female. So it's outside of the norm, but it depends on what your theory is about what's going on. Is it a crossover also to homelessness? Like, is somebody targeting homeless people? Because homelessness is a problem in Austin, and especially in this area of Austin. And I'll show you some pics from my trip. Probably do that before we show you the video from my midnight walk.
I'm not sure. I can't tell you specifically. But that information will be available to the Public Information Office. So I do encourage you to contact the Public Information Office. They can tell you specifics. I can tell you that today the deceased person is a female.
Do you have an age on her?
Approximately 60s.
Any no next of kin that you could reach?
No, not that I'm aware of. But that's a part of the investigation. So as far as if they were to get identification and contact next of kin, would be the detectives.
Would he release that information, or would that come from the medical?
If that is released, it would be released at a later time because we don't have the information right now. So I would encourage you to either contact the Public Information Office or contact the Medical Examiner's Office.
I know the answer already, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Does APD believe there's any serial killer at this time?
I mean, it does not appear to be suspicious. I mean, there's it's being investigated as a deceased person, so that's not our belief.
I got to rewind that last one just because he was so quiet.
It's being investigated as a deceased person, so that's not our belief.
What do you think about this area specifically? We've seen a couple of these different bodies turn up here. anything out of the ordinary that this is kind of a
When the bodies turn up here, is there anything out of the ordinary? I mean, like a bunch of bodies being found in and around the lake?
Right? That y'all keep calling accidentals.
No foul play suspected.
And we've heard from one guy, Joe and I presented an interview with a guy who was nearly killed at Lady Bird Lake, and he doesn't even know how he ended up where he ended up. As if he was
Yeah.
drugged, and it's like he was drugged leaving one of the bars or when he was at one of the nightclubs there, because they're all lined up right there by the where these disappearances are happening at. And so he was the only one, right, Joe, that actually survived something out there, like an
I
attack?
think so. And he was the one that had like a slice from like his chin down to his belly button, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, things happened and he has no clue how he even ended up on that side of the lake, or can't remember even how he got from the bar to where he was found. And
Right.
they're
And the
calling
whole,
that, yeah, they're like, there's nothing to see here, dude. You just fell off the bridge.
Exactly. You got drunk and fell off the bridge was their answer to him. Case closed.
I'd be like, don't you gaslight me like that. I know better.
All right.
Goodness.
I think we're at the end of this, so we'll just slide right into the next presser.
It makes you wonder that if, somebody local's not doing something and they're like, oh, we can't let this get out.
Mm-hmm.
But they ought
Well,
to
it's
see
out.
by now. It's hard to keep that kind of stuff at bay anymore this day and time, ain't it? It comes out eventually. Nikki Stein.
common area that this happens.
Not in my opinion. So
Nothing to see here. Move along. She literally was just asked if there's anything funky going on to be concerned about, and she says, "Not in my opinion."
Maybe the Texas State Police, what do they call them over there? The
Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers. Where's Texas Ranger? We need the Texas Ranger right now. My aunt absolutely loved that show.
Oh, Walker, Texas Ranger.
Walker, Texas Ranger. That's him. We need Walker, Texas Ranger. By God, he'd get to the bottom of this Lady Bird Lake nonsense.
That's right. You know he would. He might not go walking out there at midnight though.
Oh, I bet he would. He's Texas Ranger. He'll whip your tail.
Yeah, he knows martial arts a little bit better than I do.
Right? He knows them better than I do. And my kid taught me a few moves, but damn, I'm nothing cut on that guy.
Right. He might have got off on that one guy that approached me about his missing wife.
Yeah, I might could have handled that dude. I think I would have. Freaked me out when this guy approached as you and was talking about my wife is missing. I'm like, Joe's there investigating missing people and he's being approached about a missing person.
Lee Nouse, L-E-E, Nouse is K-N-O-U-S-E of the Austin Police Department. I'm working on behalf of the Public Information Office today. First of all, we're here to talk about a death that occurred on or around Lady Bird Lake. There's a couple things that go along with that. As a parent, as a family member, as a spouse, I can't really understand the gravity of losing a family member. So, of course, we want to acknowledge that piece of it. As part of the investigation and the process, the family will be notified. The family has not been notified yet. So we want to respect their wishes, and we'll have to understand that we won't be able to release as much information about the decedent as we would like as a result of that wishes of the family, or until the family's notified. The other piece is we want to acknowledge as the Austin Police Department that we certainly understand people will speculate quite a bit when there is a death in or around Lady Bird Lake, right? So I want to provide as many answers as I can right now, so that we don't have.
Did you notice how he phrased that? When there is a death in or around Lady Bird Lake, like they're acknowledging that it's a thing. This is just like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks after the one we just watched. But I was actually just thinking to myself, like about 3 or 4 weeks ago, boy, it's been quiet around Lady Bird Lake this winter.
I was thinking the same thing, Joe. We haven't had any activity in a minute, and then here we come with this. Like we should have known it was coming.
Yeah.
speculate. Our homicide unit will follow up with any additional information at a later time, but we'll provide what little information we can provide today. So along those lines, today at about 10:51 a.m. on the other shore of Lady Bird Lake, so on the north shore of Lady Bird Lake, some citizens observed a older white or Hispanic male in the water of Lady Bird Lake. They called in to 911. Police, fire, and EMS were dispatched to that location to investigate that incident and to provide aid. Unfortunately, when they arrived, the subject was deceased and was pronounced deceased at about 11:13 a.m. Part of the process in investigating this incident, our lake unit, police, fire, EMS came out. Our George officers, or downtown officers, came out to investigate that. There are also our medical examiner, our crime scene unit are here, as well as the homicide unit. Looking for any signs of injury or foul play. At this time, there's no signs of trauma or other things that would lead us to believe this is any type of homicide or murder. But you know that those answers will be provided as the investigation goes on. So as part of that, they're examining the medical examiner's office and the homicide unit are inspecting the body for signs of any type of injury. They'll also investigate the circumstances surrounding how that person ended up there at that date and time, and provide and understand those things as the investigation goes on. We also want to acknowledge that the public is instrumental in cases like this. So everything from citizens that call 911 to people that can provide any information, you know, if there was something to be suspicious or concerning, or we do depend on the public to provide us that information. So we will provide the homicide tip line 512-974 TIPS is the homicide line, or you can always call Crime Stoppers.
Here he's mentioning homicide a lot more. He's not making declarations yet that this is not suspicious, no foul play. They didn't end up determining that, but I don't know if he says that in this presser. I don't remember. But he said homicide like 10 times now.
512-472-TIPS to provide any information to the Austin Police Department in reference to this incident or any other. That's probably all the information I can provide. I can try to answer some questions if there's some gaps, and if I can provide that information, I'd like to.
What's the total number of death investigations you guys have had here on Lady Bird Lake this year?
I don't know the answer to that.
What's the total number of death investigations you've had around Lady Bird Lake in the last few years, I think is what that reporter said. I'm going to have to turn my headphones up just a little to hear the questions again.
Question, or you can contact our PIO office and they can provide information. I don't know the answer to that question offhand, so I hate to speculate. There have been deaths in or around Lady Bird Lake. As far as the numbers this year, I'm just not familiar with them.
Does it make it more difficult for APD to, when the first thing people talk about when something happens like this is go automatically to, the theories they have, that getting the truth out is harder? Or
so the question is, is it problematic when the public speculates on a death investigation and thinks it's suspicious when we don't have any information to that? Is that kind of the question? Yeah. That question, the process is the process. The public is going to have their concerns.
Whoa, word salad. Word salad. Zero, you're fine. Comment all you want. Thanks for hanging with us. I just heard another word salad. The process is the process. I got back at it.
The process is the process. That's a new slogan for us, right? The process is the process, people. And thank you for commenting there. You're right. It does help the channel when you guys are chatting it up. We appreciate it. Well, thank you, Carol, for subbing up.
That question, the process is the process. The public is going to have their concerns. We would love to provide all the answers as soon as we came out here, as soon as that 911 call came out, but it obviously is a process. So that's why we do things like, look at the condition of the body, check out the surrounding scenarios and timeline by which that person came to that date and time. And then that helps to provide some clarity. People are going to be concerned, and I understand we can't provide as much information as we would like. So people are going to want to fill in the gap. So I think it's just natural for people to have those concerns.
So we don't want to talk about, because the family has been notified.
Correct.
So speculation.
So the family has not been notified yet. That will be part of the process. That's something that happens relatively soon. Our medical examiner's office, in connection with the homicide unit, will provide that information to the family.
Hold on, Salty. Do you have a live scheduled for after this, or am I looking at an old post?
Old one. I'm assuming. Did I set something up and not realize it?
I may be looking at an old post.
I'm gonna do something tonight. I do have a great nephew's birthday party to attend this afternoon. I missed my great niece's 2 weeks ago because I was under the weather. So I'm going today to see both of them and take little gifts. But when I get back this evening, I'll be the only one home. So I am putting together members only, I think, for tonight. What are you looking at?
Obviously, an old post on Discord. I didn't look at the date.
Oh, you trolling around the Discord. That was yesterday's show or day before that.
Right.
Oh wait, it's got the date, dude. It's got the date at the bottom of the link.
I know.
Guys, what am I gonna do with this guy? He's always trying me. Oh, Miss Shorty going live this morning. Good morning, Brightwill. I think Dizzy says something about that. Y'all can portal over to Miss Shorty's. Yeah, I'll be getting my shower here in just a little bit so I can take my time getting ready. I hate rushing. I don't gotta leave here till about 1 o'clock, a couple hours from now, but yeah. Miss Shorty's a sweetheart.
Yes. She's a sweetheart and a wild child at the same time.
She's kind of like me. We hit it off real good in my stream the other day. I was letting my freak flag, that's the wrong word. I was ranting and she was like, don't worry about it. You keep ranting. I was like, okay. So I got the okay from Miss Shorty.
Yep. Forrest, could you drop Miss Shorty's link in the channel too, please? In the chat. Thank you. All right, let's see how much more word salad this guy has, because he's starting to get asked more and more questions about how many bodies. I think, if I remember right, I think there were four bodies in 2024, if I remember right. 4 bodies were found around the lake in 2024, and we're at 1 in 2025. Here we go.
When they're identified.
First one was found in the water.
Yes.
Any tips? A lot of people use these trails. They're running.
Sure.
Obviously, a very popular area. What do you recommend to the public?
Sure. I mean, always, with trail safety, with this incident or anytime you're out in public, we often get sucked into our phones or not paying attention to our surroundings or have our AirPods in or earpods in or headphones on and we're not paying attention to our surroundings. That's always important. In regards to this particular case, I can't say what.
Can we accidentally walk into the water? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I have not accidentally walked into the water. I've seen the people who walk into the poles and the different things.
Right.
Not going to say that I may not have accidentally nearly walked into something, but not the water. And I'm around the water all summer long, and I'm not about to accidentally walk in it. I think I can accidentally get myself out.
Yeah, I think so. And if these people are disappearing at night, which appears like most of them are, your headphones don't have a whole lot to do with it. But maybe trail lighting. maybe trail lighting.
You can't hear the assailant coming up behind you because your earphones are on.
Right.
Y'all need to get them things out your head at night when you're walking around in shady places. How long can these cops continue to tell us this blanket statement about each body and think we're going to stay interested? You know what I mean? That they're being truthful and really doing due diligence into these investigations.
Yeah. We may have to do another live on this one. We may have to like put all the pins in Google Earth,
Oh yeah, it's definitely got to happen.
because we don't have answers yet. We have another body in the water, face down, quote unquote, no foul play suspected. Yet he's telling people to pay attention on the trails, and you got your headphones in. You know you got to be aware and alert of your surroundings, but no foul play suspected. Why wouldn't we need to be aware and alert? I mean, the trail is the trail. You can't just fall in the water off the trail. I mean, there are points where the trail is closer to the water, and if you're on the trail at night, you can get close to the water and it's really dark. But I didn't have any issues falling in the water.
Good public safety and good awareness is always beneficial. Don't have any idea or information on that. Like I said, elderly, white or Hispanic male is all the information I can provide right now. I'll take one more question.
Public shouldn't be a concern.
So the question was, is there any concerns to the public or threats to the public? Right now, we don't have any concern. We're not concerned at all about an ongoing threat.
You're not concerned about finding bodies in the water on a regular basis in and around Lady Bird Lake. And their lack of concern shows, and their lack of results in investigations. Zero, I'm not convinced that it's gang operations. I mean, I did see some graffiti and some tagging kind of in the area, but I didn't really see. I mean, I was out there at midnight on a Saturday night, and I did not see any signs of gang activity in this area. I mean, I'm sure they have their hoods in Austin and their territories, but I'm not sure that this is one of them.
Threats to the public, great question. If we did have any information through this investigation that there were concerns for public safety, we'll provide that as soon as possible. Thanks, guys.
Good.
Okay, this is from 2 days ago, the 27th, March 27th, the next body found around Lady Bird Lake. You can see he's already got his jaw set. He's going to face some questions. Oh, and by the way, I haven't listened to this in full yet, so let's see what he has to say, if we hear anything similar.
All right, good morning. I'm Corporal Jose Mendez. That's JOSEMENDEZ, and I'm with the Austin Police Department Public Information Office. So before I provide any information about the death investigation that's currently underway here near the 90 block of Congress Avenue, on behalf of the Austin Police Department, our condolences go out to the victim's family, friends, and anybody that may be affected by this tragic and unfortunate situation that took place this morning or late last night. I can't begin to imagine how the family moves forward in the next few days, weeks, or even months, but I want to assure the family that we here at APD will do everything we can to figure out what took place here this morning and how this happened. With that said, at approximately 8:21 a.m. this morning, just before 8:30, APD officers responded to Lady Bird Lake here in the area of 90 Congress Avenue, and that was in reference to a welfare check. We did have a caller 911 center stating that while they were jogging, they believed to observe an individual face down in the water. At that time, Austin police officers, the Austin Fire Department, Austin Travis County EMS responded to the scene. They quickly located an individual face down in the water and recovered that individual from the water. Unfortunately, at approximately 9:08 this morning, that individual was pronounced deceased here on scene. At this time, we have homicide detectives on scene. We have several of our patrol units from our downtown area. We have our crime scene specialists, as well as a few officers from our Department of Public Safety assisting in this investigation. Right now, we're trying to determine what actually took place and why this happened. Right now, we have officers canvassing the area, looking for any potential witnesses that may have seen or heard something. We're also trying to locate any surveillance that may have captured anything. Right now, I'm being told that this is an isolated incident with no threat to the public. Right now, I'm being informed also that this is not being investigated as a homicide investigation. Our preliminary findings here today, this morning, are indicating that no foul play is suspected. However, we encourage the public to contact us if you have any information regarding this incident. If you saw anything, heard anything this morning, late last
No foul play suspected. However, that's a big comma right there.
night, or if any information that could help us with this incident, we encourage you to come or contact our homicide tip line at 512-477-3.
Okay, no foul play suspected, but contact the homicide hotline if you know anything. Not a general information line. Maybe they should set up just a dedicated line for Lady Bird Lake tips.
3588, or you can contact APD Crime Stoppers at 512-472-TIPS. And again, that last number is 512-472-8477. Again, this is a very tragic and unfortunate situation. And right now, I want to thank our local media partners for being here, sharing this information with our community. I also want to thank the men and women of the Austin Police Department. Oftentimes, we forget that these types of tragic events can have a profound impact on them as well as their families. Again, this is very preliminary information. However, I'll try to answer as many questions as I can.
Can you say whether or not it was a man or a woman?
Right now, the findings, what I have right now is it's a white female. I don't have an age approximation, but just a white female at this time.
I know you mentioned that no foul play was suspected, but because of the chatter on social media when it comes to suspected serial killers, can you emphasize that this is right now no foul play and this is a investigation?
Oh, she mentioned social media and conspiracies or theories about serial killers. Let's see what he has to say.
You guys are looking into all aspects of what it could be.
Yeah, again, all this information is very preliminary. So what we are able to observe at this immediate moment doesn't appear to be anything related to foul play. However, that could change at any point in time once the medical examiner examines the body and gives us their ultimate determination. But for the time being, there's nothing indicative of foul play at this time.
I know you said the person was found face down in the water. Were there any signs of injury, trauma to the body that you can tell us at this point?
Yeah, again, the body was discovered face down. However, we are not seeing anything at this time that's traumatic on the body.
That's so I guess what he's saying is there are no obvious gunshot wounds, stab wounds, ligature marks, that sort of thing. But obviously the medical examiner's office has not examined the body yet. I think it may be time for some FOIA requests and get some of those medical examiner reports and toxicology reports. I think I was going to do that before, and I got distracted by Lori Vallow Daybell. I can't keep up with all of her documents. Well, I can, but barely.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
So there it is. That's the lesser parole.
All right. So this is a very shaky, amateurish video of my walk that night. Before we get into that, let's take a look on Google Maps. So that's the Lester Pearl. That's where one of the victims started his night one night. So I'm not going inside the Lester Pearl that night. I didn't go in that night. But before we go for a walk along Lady Bird Lake, let's take a look at some daytime pictures. I just have a handful of them that I'm going to show. I mean, I took a whole bunch more than I'm going to show now, but let's see what it looks like in the day versus what it looks like at night. Oh, where did you go, pictures? Where did you go? Here we go. So we will start at the boat ramp. which is where I ended my walk. There was a body, one of the bodies was found right here at the boat ramp. The trail is there. You can see that's the walking trail. That is one of the areas where it is closer to the lake. I walked along that same trail, but I walked coming from the other direction. So where they're walking towards right now is where the Lester Pearl is, but obviously you have a long ways to walk when you go up Rainy Street. So this is a little ways away from the Lester Pearl where I started my walk, but I ended up here and I ended my walk over here on the left side, probably about another 100 feet or so past the left side of this picture. Oops, let's not go too. Okay, so this is northeast of this area. This is me stopped at a stoplight and I looked over to my right and I noticed there's a little bit of a homeless camp here. And there's a charity truck there that says everyone eats today, but they're not handing out food, they're handing out clothes. Like I saw people, and maybe there's food in there too. Maybe it's food and clothes. I saw homeless type people walking away with clothes, and they're handing out clothes because it's getting ready to become winter. I mean, it was the end of November and it was getting very chilly at night. There's a little homeless camp right by this stoplight. I think we're probably about like 6 blocks northeast of the trail. Boom. Okay, so this is Congress Street. This is right across the river from where I think the body was found, and there have been a couple of bodies found here in this area where I'm going to take you. So this is Congress Street, which you heard mentioned in the press conference and you saw on the tweet from the Austin Police Department. So the trail, you have to go down some stairs and go down below. The bridge is obviously up above, way up above the water. So this is down the stairs to the walking trail from Congress Street. There's looking back east along the hiking trail. There's looking west along the hiking trail from where I just came down the stairs. That is the Congress Street Bridge right there. I've got to be within yards of where bodies have been found. This is underneath the Congress Street Bridge. That's a skyline. It's a beautiful skyline. That's a really cool couple of buildings there. That's looking back the other way underneath Congress Street Bridge to the east. More cool buildings. And that's the steps up, back up to Congress Street on the other side. So that would be on the west side of the Congress Street Bridge. Really cool skyline. And it's bright and beautiful, and you've got some shade alternating here and there, so it's not just complete sun baking you. I mean, it's a really nice area. So, I will show you my walk on Google Earth first. So I went out at around midnight. I started before midnight, but I started up here at the Lester Pearl. And the blue path is where I walked, taking video down this way. And I walked all the way to the ends of the nightclub scene. And then I crossed the street and I walked back. We're not going to see that. And thank you to the person that helped me to crop this video and prep it. And then I came back down one more time, and then I just kept going on down to Lady Bird Lake. So it's hard to tell the elevations here, but this is street level is up above the walking path quite a bit. So they now have, so this is an older aerial photo, but they now have a concrete ramp that goes all the way down from the upper street level down to the walking path. So walking southeasterly along the walking path. and continued southeast. I don't think I ran into very many people just walking on the walking path. Gosh, it's been a couple months and I've slept since then. But somewhere in here, so there's the boat ramp. That's where I took the picture from driving this way. But somewhere in here is a fishing pier. And I walked out on that fishing pier, and it's like a ADA fishing pier type where you could go out there, where you could take a wheelchair out there and fish off of it if you were disabled and or wheelchair bound for some reason. But there was a person that I didn't see. So I walked out on the fishing pier, and that person was sitting off to my right. And I just stood there quietly. I didn't say anything to them because I'm like, maybe they're just sitting on the lake, just like getting their Zen fix, you know? So I didn't want to say anything and disturb whatever peaceful moment they were having. So then I got back on the trail, continued down past the boat ramp to about right in here, and then walked back that way. And I'm like, well, it's really dark down here, so I'm just going to come back up here where it's a little better lit. So it's along the street. There's plenty of street lights. It's well lit up here. And there's a street light right here. Like you can see the shadow of it on Google Earth. All right. And then I got to catch up on chat, and then I'll continue my story. Their ID and money is missing when that qualifies suspicious. Well, if they're homeless, they may not have ID and money. But yeah, that is a consideration, something that the Austin PD should definitely be investigating and considering. Okay, so turning around and coming back northwest, paused for a moment right here under the street light, and then looked over here, and that's when Salty told me, I think it was Salty told me about the homeless encampment that was here. Somebody told me, I think it was Salty, that there used to be a homeless encampment here that they cleared out.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, well, I'm going to go check it out. That was a little bit, I won't say nerve-wracking, but your senses get heightened when you go because the branches on those trees hang low, like really low. And there are areas underneath the trees that are probably where the homeless were camping out that you can't see till you like get right up there on it. So I was prepared. So I had a flashlight with me, and I was prepared if my flashlight showed anybody, I was probably going to be reversing direction. But I didn't see anybody under there. There was a little bit of trash and litter under there. Like probably people sit there during the day and, you know, have their meal or snack or whatever and leave their trash behind. But there wasn't any evidence that it is currently being used as a homeless camp. But so I start walking back towards the street, and I get to right here, and I look out of the corner of my right eye. I see this guy walking right along the edge of that parking garage. And you can't tell just by looking at somebody who's homeless and who's not, but there are a lot of things about his appearance and his backpack that seemed to me like he was probably homeless. So where the end of the blue line is where I stopped my live. And that was right when I saw that guy. I'm like, dang it, I stopped too soon. So I got out my camera and I caught a video of him walking along that red line right there. And then like right in here, he kind of turns off to the right and he disappears behind the trees. So I don't know where he ended up, but I wasn't going to go ask him. And then right after that, this guy that I think was East Indian in ethnicity, also based on some evidence of his clothing and his accent and his appearance, came running up to me and he goes, "Hey, have you seen a woman walking on the path? Have you seen a woman walking on the path?" He's like, "I can't find my wife." And wasn't I on the phone with you at that time, Salty?
Yes, you were.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I saw a woman on the pier. So why don't you go back that way? He goes, what do you mean? I was like, there's a little fishing dock over there. And I did see somebody sitting there. So why don't you go look there? And I was like, I'll go look the other direction. So I did come back down here just to make sure that like I didn't miss somebody on the path here. I was like, I haven't seen anybody walking either way. Not on this part of the path. But I said I will go look to make sure I didn't like miss somebody when I was up here doing this little business up here under the trees. But he went running off that way, and then I went walking that way. I didn't see anybody. I'm like, okay, I think my night's done. Like in hindsight, maybe I could have gone and helped him look on the pier, but maybe I probably made the right decision just to go back to my room. I mean, you never know. He didn't. You can't tell just by looking at somebody who's dangerous and who's not. But he was acting a little weird, and he did have a weird story about trying to find a missing person. And here I am on Lady Bird Lake. And then, okay, so here's the thing. When I heard about that body being found like a couple of days later, I was like, oh crap, I hope it's not. But it was a woman that was found a couple of days later in the water. I didn't get it on camera, and I regret that. So we're going to watch that video now. We're going to start all the way up here at the Luster Pearl on my crappy, and this is one of the first lives. I think it may be the first live that I ever did. So the quality is bad, and I apologize for that, but hopefully you can get something out of it, and you can see how much different. So you saw my pictures and you saw the press conferences of how that trail and everything looked during the day and how much difference it is at night. So here we go with that video. Starting up at the Luster Pearl, that's all those neon lights across the street. I'm across the street on the east side of the street from the Luster Pearl. Here we go.
This is Rainy Street up and down. There's construction, but there's also a lot of nightclubs on down south heading towards Lady Bird Lake. There's a little bit to the north up here on Driscoll, not a whole lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually head south on Rainy towards Lady Bird Lake. I'm on the street, baby, you gon' hate me. You gon' hate. And it doesn't take long to get to an area that's a little less well lit. There's a park over there with no lighting, except for radiant street lighting. But as we know, almost all but one of the bodies, maybe two, were males. So you can see at the end of the street, there's a couple of cars parked right there. And then there's a ramp or walking path that goes right down to the trail, another 50 yards past that maybe. So this is well lit. This part at the top up here. It's nice and peaceful here. Still a good 10, 15 feet away from the water. But it is with all the lights that are behind me, it's hard for my eyes to adjust to the path and the terrain down here. So if the bank came in towards me a little bit, it'd be easy to slip and fall in. Because that lighting actually makes it worse if you come down here by the water. Like I have to get down and cover my eyes so my pupils will dilate and then come out of it down low and I can see the water. Yeah, this is a bench right here. So, I mean, they're inviting people to come and sit down on the bench by the edge of the water, although it's not that close to it. Now I'm going to start walking east from Rainy Street, from the Rainy Street ramp. And what these well-lit paths do is they just invite you closer to the water, so you want to get closer to the water. I mean, they have some fencing up, but a lot of access areas. There's the fishing pier. See, all that up there is nice and well lit. There's a light on the fishing pier. So back this way, as we get closer to the Holiday Inn, and the boat ramp is where 2 were found in 2024. Is that? There's a little stone circle area right by the edge of the water.
So real quick, one of the things that I was wanting to check out was how dark it was, because they made a big deal, the mayor made a big deal about adding lights and cameras along the trail because of the public's concern. And they did, I think, but I did not see one single camera. I did see some newer lights, but I also saw a lot of very, very dark trail. So, I mean, I don't know if they tried putting a Band-Aid on it or if they have more plans for more lights and cameras. I don't know.
Let's get back to the well-lit path. So there's the area back there with some dark areas. The path back there with some dark areas. Once again, back to the well-lit. There's a bench facing the water off the path. Yeah, I could have done the same thing because it was really hard for me to discern where the edge of water was with those lights right behind me and my eyes not being able to dilate properly. See, here's a nice dark area under this tree, but there's a fence there now. That looks like it's been there a while. Come right down here by the water. And the water's edge is right there. There's some mud right there. I'm not going to go down to the mud. Number one, because I don't know how solid it is. Number two, because I don't want to get my shoes muddy. See, and you have the surface street right there. So if you were to plan something, you could park right there and have a getaway car, like, boom, right there, you're gone. And there are some where the street is even closer to the lake. I don't see any cameras unless those lights have them. Here, the bank's a little higher right here by the lake. So one step over that, you're in the water and couldn't get out. You guys see that? See how there's a steep bank right there? Hold on, let me light it up for you. Got a steeper bank right there. Looks like there's a slide where maybe somebody stepped down there, slid down there. You have a hard time getting back up out of that, especially if you were drunk. Now we're coming to a darker place. Lots of shadows, no lighting on the actual trail itself. That's all the way back there. And that was the last. Yeah, this is really dark. And this is where 3 bodies were found. So when you come out here to the actual boat ramp, you've got some more lighting, a little bit. But that stretch back there, that's it. This area is even darker on this side of the boat ramp, underneath the big tree. Flat spot right here. This doesn't feel like a peaceful spot. This does not feel like a peaceful spot. And right up there is where that picture of the homeless camp was. I don't see anybody or anything there now. This is a path, a worn path down to the lake. A little path along the lake. Boys are coming, I can't see a thing because you can't see a thing when you don't have a light. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So there it is. That's the lesser pearl.
Oh, that was an adventure. Now I have a body worn cam that I can take better video with next time.
You may have to go back soon.
Yep.
Take all the precautions.
Of course. Well, after Lori's trial, I'll probably will be heading back east. Probably. Plans are up in the air right now, but if I have the chance, I will definitely be back there at midnight some point in the future. Salty, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to go get myself ready for my day and come back and get on here tonight. Thank you guys for coming in. We appreciate it.
Yes, hi, Miss J.
Everybody
You're
who's here.
coming in right at the end. Forrest and Dizzy, thank you for modding for me. I greatly appreciate it. And to the person
JC done changed up her name on me. Hey, JC, how you doing?
Did she?
Well, Miss J is JC Ann. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. To the person that helped put that video together, thank you for that very much. Shiraz, Divergent, Forest, thank you so much for joining, hanging with us. Thank you for the nice, respectful chat and your thoughts and opinions. Thanks for hitting the like button. If you haven't already, you can hit it on the way out. And if you're on the replay crew, be sure to leave me a comment. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Everybody have a great day, and I'll see you later, maybe.
See you later.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope you got your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Good morning, hope you got your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning, thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to